sure. Yeah, I think the guys are coming along. They're playing hard, which is the most important thing. Playing hard. You know, we had a rough night on Saturday night, but just the way they're coming along as a group and playing together and the experience that they're getting. We're making plays on the ball, getting some interceptions the last few weeks, besides this past Saturday, which is what it's all about, taking the ball away. And I think the guys have done a good job of that and believing in it and practicing it. And we just got to keep building them up, right? And it starts again on Saturday out of Minnesota.
What specifically about Chance, Jim, have you liked? It sounded like you were a guy that was really impressed with him early and might have had him out there game one, you know, if not for some things. Just what has he done to impress you as a young guy?
Well, you know, when I got here in the spring, he wasn't really able to practice, but I saw him move around a little bit, and I was like, well, he had the attributes that you're looking for a corner. He got the size, the length, can run, could change of direction. So then as we went through the summer and you saw him move around, and then as we got to camp, he was doing really well. I was excited about this kid might have a chance to play early. And then that first week before the opener, he had a little, it was a groin and wasn't going to be able to play. So that's where you saw it, but you didn't know until, you know, obviously you play a real game. And so we had to wait a little while, and then eventually he got to get in, and every week he's just getting a little bit better. You know, he's a sharp, smart kid. He wants to do well. He works hard, and that's all you can ask for.
Wondering about the depth right now. I mean, you guys have had a lot of injuries there.
Yes.
Do you anticipate Chuck coming back? You know, maybe some of the other guys like Melvin and boy, but you managed to juggle it though. I guess how have you been able Lowry as well? But how have you managed to juggle that? Is it just the health of those top guys, or?
Well, we've been fortunate for the last couple of weeks, those guys have been playing, Dylan and Chance, but you also have Chaz, who's playing nickel, who's playing dime, but those guys, there's overlap teaching. And that's what you'd like to have in your system, where not only can you play corner, but you might be able to slide in and play nickel. And when we teach that certain technique to one person, we're teaching it to everybody. Hey, you need to understand this because you're going to have to play it, whether you're a corner, whether you're a nickel, or whether you're a safety. And then it's about who's the next guy in. And teaching that person that, hey, they're going to get reps. Some of those guys are doing dual work right now. A lot of them, because we only got so many of them, so they got to be able to do both. And then knock on that nobody gets hurt and you just keep moving forward. But if somebody does, the next guy's got to be ready to go in. And that could be a nickel moving to corner.
At safety with the lost Amari Smith for the season, and right when he looked like he was starting to really show some progress, being that dime guy, right? And then
Yeah.
you know, I guess you're playing a true freshman walk on the road at Iowa. I guess how has that position worked out just so far as well?
Well, there's a great example of a young man who's right from around here in Lansing, and a kid that just listens, smart, tough, durable, and he wasn't even going to be on the trip, right? So as you're getting ready to go on a plane, and then all of a sudden these things happen, and, hey, you're coming on the trip. You're not going. We didn't think you were going to play. You're coming on the trip, and then when we're on the trip, next thing you know, the next day on Saturday, before we play on Saturday night, you're playing. And here's a guy that, you know, the overlap. He always pays attention. All right, listen, this is what we're going to do in the game against Iowa. We're going to play this, this, and this, and this is what you're going to have to do. And he went in, and you wouldn't know if you turn that film on. That you're proud about that. You see a kid who didn't take one rep the whole week, and he went into a game, Big Ten game, and played. And so you know that, hey, the overlap teaching, the fundamentals, it all comes down to that at the end of the day, right? You want the best players you can have, but the fundamentals are what it is, not the scheme. Everybody run this or run that. No, fundamentals. If you handle that right and you have your eyes in the right place, good things will happen.
What's the season been like for you personally? I imagine maybe one of the weirder ones where you got to sort of take a running start into spring ball, and then season gets here and things get thrown out of whack, and now you're just trying to, keep these guys together, I assume, to the end. Just for you personally, how's it been navigating this year in a new place and all the different things that have been thrown at you?
It's been interesting, to say the least. But good, in a good way. There's great. First of all, there's great people here that I'm working with in our room as a staff, and then the players as a group. Right? And if you have that, then it doesn't matter you ignore the noise. I know there's been things that have happened throughout the year. At the end of the day, I got a job to do, and it's to coach those young men, to mold them together, to get them to play together, to get them to play hard. If you watch that game on Saturday night, if any of you watch the actual game film, and it's the fourth quarter, they're playing hard. So when I look at that, that means we're doing the right thing. Right? I know whatever the score was, it was, but that's what I'm looking at when I go back and watch that tape. Who's still playing? Who can we count on? And, it's been a rough year, but it's a new week, right? It's a new week. And just like I told those guys yesterday, after we got through that game, it's like, hey, we're moving on, right? And we need everybody in here. All hands on deck. There's nobody, because they've all seen it. You guys asked me about, putting in a safety, B. Lou, who wasn't even supposed to be on the trip. He's playing in a Big Ten game on Saturday night in front of 80,000 people. 3rd and 10, get in there. And what does he do? Exactly what you asked him to do. And we're off the field. So I just got to keep having fun. That's what I tell those guys. It's like just coming off that field. Those 2 hours are like paradise to me. Because I'm out of the office, right? I don't have to listen to any other stuff or watch another play. No, we're putting a plan together. We're going on the field. You're on the grass. That's what it's all about, right? Not worried about recruiting at the moment or any of that stuff. Go coach ball, right? And that's all we're trying to do with these guys. Keep coaching them, because it's a good group and they're young. A lot of these guys haven't even played, before I got here, I believe, right, where they were true starters, So.
I'm wondering, kind of on that same line, professionally, it's a pretty transient business that you guys get into, but kind of when you get into a limbo situation like this, how have you trained, or have you had any experience or mentors who kind of said, listen, the hired to be fired part of the business is real? Like, how do you kind of navigate that?
Unfortunately, I've been through it, before. So you just kind of, like I said, it's my job when I signed up to do this is to coach, to impact the young men, right, that you're with. And it doesn't matter if you're 1-10 or 10-0. My attitude, the way I step onto the field, the way when I walk into the room and I got to coach those guys, it shouldn't be any different. And the reality is, who knows what the future holds? I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about getting these guys through Saturday, right, to Minnesota, and then the next game, and so on, and through the season. And there's still a lot of football left to be played, right? And you really look at our games, right? Of the 7, as I was driving over here, I'm thinking about, there's 2 of them where you're like, okay, we didn't really play very well. But if you look at the other 5, and you all saw it, those games could go easily in our favor. They didn't, but we played good defense. I believe that with all my heart. So that's all you can do, is just keep loving. And that's all you can do. You got to make sure that those players know that, right? And they are out there practicing hard, right? And that's all you can ask for. And then when they play on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, let the pieces fall where they fall.
What's it been like seeing, I think you had a relationship with Harlan, right, from
Yes.
coming up here. What's it been like seeing him in this position, how he handles everything, how he's tried to figure out how to be a head coach, how he's kept together, just all aspects of what he's been thrown into?
Yeah, he's done a great job, in the situation that you're put in. You wake up on Sunday morning, 2-0, and as I see these phones right here, I roll over, and I look at my phone and I'm like, oh, okay, something's going on. And but what he's done and keeping the guys together has been great. And he's a Spartan dog, played here, we've known each other for a long time. I got a tremendous amount of respect for him. So great person, and doing a great job with the situation that we're in, and trying to keep these guys together, and his leadership in the room, right? Whether it's as the head coach or even when he's with us on defense, that's important. And the guys look up to him and they believe in him. And what more could you ask for? We got to get them to win, right? That's our job. That's what we're working for. That's what I'm trying to do, when I'm in the office or it's night and you're getting ready for the next opponent. How can we get a win? Whatever it takes. If that means whatever I got to do to get those guys to get that done. That's all. He deserves his first win. I don't care who it is or what they're ranked or any of that.
What do you see with Minnesota? Obviously, kind of similar offensively, more so to Michigan a little bit, but not really putting up a lot of points and swinging the ball around the field like Washington. I guess what's the challenges for them?
Yeah, they do a great job, Minnesota. They're a big 11 personnel team with 3 wideouts, tight end on the field, and they want to run the ball and play action pass. So you got to be sound, on your first and second down stuff, and make sure your eyes are in the right place, which is big. And then on third down, the quarterback, he's a big kid with a strong arm. They got good wideouts. This will be a good challenge for us. It really will be. They'll all come down to, again, like I said, the fundamentals. Because they want to run the ball, and we got to be able to tackle, right? Blocking, tackling, getting off blocks. And then when the ball goes up in the air, win, right? Your job is to win. You're one-on-one, right? That goes for everybody, whether it's a DB, a linebacker who's getting blocked by the tight end, an O-lineman versus D-line. It's fundamental football. And that's whoever plays with better fundamentals and makes the least amount of mistakes will win. That's what it usually comes down to in a close game, right? There's a play or two that it comes down to. One person was right there, but they were looking over here and didn't see what happened, and vice versa. This guy made the tackle, or this guy made the play on the ball. That's what we got to do, right? And we got to take the football away.
What I ask you about?
How do you keep the team from not getting demoralized when they don't see the results? You have a result like you did Saturday.
Sure. Yeah. Keep chopping, right? It was a Saturday night, right, where things weren't going our way, but like I said, right, we said turn the tape on and watch. Are the guys playing hard? Are they going after the ball? Are they doing the little things? Yes, they continue to do that. The guys that were out there, they did. How do you do it? You got to have a lot of energy, right? You got to try to be positive, can't be negative, right? That's just my belief, right? And being positive and showing them, hey, there were some good things that we did, right? We got them in the 3rd and 18, 3rd and 14, right? So how do those things happen? Because you're doing good things on what? On 1st and 2nd down, right? So you want to show them, hey, these are the things that you did well, right? And then you also need to show them what? Things that we got to get better at. But to try to keep them going, hey, you guys, we're doing good things. We're taking, I think we got 6 interceptions right now. I don't know how many, I think we only had, 2 last year as a season? Right, so there's some positive things happening. Guys are getting their hands on the ball. So you got to show them the things that they're doing well, right? And be positive and upbeat and run around. I don't ask them to do anything I wouldn't do. I'm trying to run around. I'm not as fast as them anymore, but I'm running around, right? I'm going after the ball and chasing it, making sure that they're running around to the ball, right? And then also your leaders. In our room, we're young. Really aren't any veterans, right? All the veterans were gone from last year, so it's a young group. So you're trying to teach them, right, to become leaders. And that's not easy when you're going through what we're going through right now. But that's my job. That's what we're trying to get done.
How's Dylan Tatum doing, the guy that's played all year and still somewhat new to the position? I haven't seen him grow this year. Probably someone who's taking the season a little bit hard, I would imagine. How's he coming along?
He's coming along good, He was kind of one of those guys where when I got here, he had played multiple positions, played some nickel, played some safety last year, and then played in the corner. we took him at corner, we tried him at safety, did a lot of things. He's a very talented young man and smart. Can do a lot, you could move him around if you really wanted to. Right now, he's at the corner position and playing well, doing a really good job. Local kid, right? And it's important to him. So, big thing for him is just making sure they're staying upbeat, positive, and making sure that he just keeps challenging himself because he's got the ability to be a pretty good player. He really does, and he's playing at a good level right now for us. And we need him to continue to keep rising and bring it along. He's a veteran, right? He's a veteran. He's on his second year right now for us. He's a guy that you're leaning on to help a Chance Rucker, right? Who's been here for, I think, since January. You enrolled in the end of January, right? And Chance, he didn't even practice in the spring. So, but we got a good group. But he's doing well. Dylan's doing well. I'm really pleased with him.
Is he a fun guy to coach when he comes in? I know you weren't, but he's like a sprinter in high school, played offense, defense. Seems like he's got a lot of raw abilities, and then just sort of needed a home and some technique and everything. Is that the kind of guy that's fun to coach when he has all the, not all, but a lot of the natural stuff athletically?
He's got some tools to work with, right? I tell the guys, when you come in, we give you a tool belt. A tool belt with no tools, and then the more you can do, we start to give you a little bit more. He's got ability, right? And he's got the want to, and he's got the football intelligence. Sometimes some guys have some ability, but may not have the actual game experience or understanding the game of football and why things are happening in front of him. He's got that, and it's fun to coach. And it's important to him. Very important to him.
Carmen had mentioned that Saturday can be a defining moment of this season. Given that everything this team has gone through, you guys have been asked to respond to adversity already. But coming after this loss, do you kind of see this as being kind of an inflection point of the season, depending on how guys come out and show up and how they play and respond to it?
I don't, just because to me it's the next game, right? That's the way I look at it, and how you're going to play. I mean, you better show up and play. That's your job. That's my job to coach. That's the players' jobs to play. And it just happens to be it's Minnesota. I told the guys after the game, I'm like, hey, that was the biggest game of the year when we met the next day, because it was the next game. And it won't be any different. We can't go into a game saying, well, this one's more important than that one. No, that's not how we do it. And the guys got to be ready to play week in, week out. Home, away, neutral site, doesn't matter. Got to be ready to play. Plain and simple. And it just happens to be that this will be the next biggest game, and it's going to be Minnesota, because that's who's next on the docket.
Brandon Moore's the coach, we gotta get Roman here, but we got Ian and then Ryan.
What has Brandon Lewis done in practice to really impress you guys as a coaching staff?
Dependable, durable, smart, football awareness for a young man who, right from around here, and to see him, like I said earlier, go from no travel to, hey, we're going to need to take you on a trip, to your playing on Saturday night, and to go in and perform. He's just consistent, here every day, smile on his face, and coachable, right? When you have those traits, that usually means there's going to be some success for that young man. And that's what he's got. I enjoy being around him.
A couple more. Jen.
Regarding the Michigan sign stealing allegations, how much, in theory, is the advantage? I mean, how much of an advantage do you get if you do know the signal as a defensive coach?
Yeah, I really haven't looked into that whole scenario, what's going on, but I mean, it's in the since I've played and all the years of coaching, if you can get signals and people are, looking across during the game and whatnot, you can figure things out. It might help you here or there, a play or two, but, everything else, whatever's going on with that, I don't know, but, yeah, it's going to help you if you know exactly what's coming. But I always laugh because you look across and coming from NFL where you have the headset, so there's a little bit of signaling going on sometimes, hand signaling by some of the coaches. But, because you have the headset, you don't have to worry about it. Then I would watch games and you see, orange, green, pink, yellow, and guys with all this stuff, and I'd always be like, how do you know who's up, to try to figure out who's stealing signals and all that stuff. So it gets a little crazy with all that right now. Now that I'm back in, I don't even bother looking at those guys. I'm more worried about making sure our guys are right, that they got the right call, right? And making sure they got the call, making sure we're lined up and that we're playing the defense the way it's supposed to be played. So I don't really worry about too much of that, the signaling stuff. It's part of the game. It's been part of the game. It'll always be part of the game. People trying to get signals.
Is it simply knowing the play and the sets? Obviously, if you can get the defensive line based on knowing maybe or having an idea of the personnel before, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, if you know what the play is, then hey, great, right? It should mean what? Big success for the defense, right? So it could be an advantage to you if you can get that. And then how do you get it translated, in here? How do you get it translated, even if from the sideline, how do you know you can get that translated onto the field to your players? When there's 80,000 people screaming and hollering, there's a lot of, whereas to me it's get your players ready to play, get them lined up, have an awareness of the formation, the personnel. You've taught them that during the week. When they're in this, they run this and this. They might be two things, then that gives them a chance to play fast, right? And go make a play. Compared to worrying about, let's get this signal so that maybe we can steal a play or two. That's only going to get you so far.
Wrap it up, Jim.
One more thing, player development game. Caleb Cole got on the field, had a nice hit. I don't know if he was a little dinged up early in the year or whatever, but last spring there were indications that he was coming along nicely and so forth. How's he been doing? Was there something that kept him off the field earlier?
Yeah, another young man that didn't practice in the spring was hurt. He's been basically nicked up the whole year during training camp, during the season. So we finally got him to the point now where he's starting to contribute in the special teams. And then with our numbers the way they were, he got in at the end of the game, this past game, just to get him some reps. So he's coming along. The big thing is health. Right? You got to be available. If you're not available, you can't play. If you're not available, you can't practice. So you won't know what the game plan is. So that's the biggest thing with Caleb, because he's a great young man. But he's got to stay healthy so that we can develop him and into a good corner.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Thank you.